All right, welcome back. We are at basically the end of week 9 of 2025 season 3. Coming in to talk about what I've been racing, what's been happening, what's been going on, what am I doing, where am I going, the stuff we've been doing so far in this little adventure I've had going on here. So this is the last race that I would have covered in the last video if you watched it. VIR Legends Road Cup, Snetterton South Course, kind of talking how the draft impacts these cars was the main talking point with this one, but we're going to go through what we've been doing since then. I did actually end up running some more races during week 6, so we'll kind of cover those first here, and then we'll dig into everything else past that up until this is Thursday the 14th, 11:30 some odd Central Time that I'm recording this. So yeah, we'll get to the next race that followed this one, which would have been USF 2000 at. Oh no, yeah, okay. So after that one, actually, wait a minute. Okay, no. Let's just. I don't know if I covered this one, but this is Indy Pro 2000 at Laguna. That's a win, but I didn't need that one. This is my first ever street stock win in the Panther C1 at Lime Rock Park. Can't remember. I think it was, yeah, Tyler Tomasi got squirrely coming off the chicane, like coming through it, and I just couldn't lift in time, and he spun, unfortunately. So I ended up walking away with this one with that one in hand, but obviously it's a racing deal. It's hard to check up, especially in these really like slow moving oval cars to make quick adjustments like that. So I just unfortunately spun him around. Nothing I could do. He like was just barely coming across my nose because I had stuck it like to the right of him, trying to like get alongside of him coming off the chicane. He just spun. So that's a win in the street stock. This was my 11th win ever at Lime Rock Park in all its various configurations, including the historic scan, I guess the legacy scan as they call it. I followed that up a couple days later with a win in the Eagle T3 because I figured I might as well get these street stocks out of the way. I don't really like racing the street stock, if I'm honest. It's fun on road courses. I like it at Lime Rock Park a lot. I hadn't seen a time that they had done this in officials. I know they do it in Tube Twister during week 13 all the time, but this is another fun one. So I just started on the pole, kind of walked away very, very fast away from the field. Lap cars were, I think, lap cars played nice in this one from what I remember. So just another Lime Rock Park hanging out, street stocks. So that's win number 12 at Lime Rock for me. Then we move to Indy Pro 2000 at VIR. That did not go official. Here's USF 2000 at VIR. This one did go official, and I finished third to, I believe this is a Road to Indy, a real world Road to Indy driver. And Jarrett's obviously very fast, so I finished behind them about half a second off the pace. VIR's never been a strong track for me, regardless of the car. So obviously it wasn't until this season that I had won in it yet. And obviously you saw in the last episode I picked up wins in the HPD on the full course and the Legend on the South course. But if we move here, I picked up a win in the Indy Pro on the North course. So I believe that leaves Patriot and Grand course as the two configs I haven't won a VIR race at now, which is cool. Um, Pretty standard stuff here in terms of the uh, kind of the happenings. I think Alex Jackie spun it on like lap 2. Oh no, lap 1. He didn't even lead the opening lap. He spun it kind of coming up towards the crest at what would typically be the turn that's at the end of the backstretch. He spun and I carried on to the victory. So that's another Indy Pro win for me. Um, then we move on to you. Wait. Oh, no, we did that one already. Then we move on to Legends Road Cup at Scuba 1000 full reverse go kart track. It's a go kart track with how fast you're lapping it. A lot of fun this one. I won this one from the pole. Kind of just stormed away as fast as humanly possible in this one. A lot of fun. I love I if there was like one or two tracks that had to be on the schedule for the series to be Knock Hill and this one in some config, whether it be full or full reverse, not quite sure yet. I think from a racing standpoint, this one is better just because of the direction of the corners. It does make there's like a big curb in what turns into, I believe, turn 2 that you have to hit perfectly or not hit at all, or you very, very much upset the car and send it around. So that caused some problems this week or this particular week, but that was a fun time. I love the Legends car on tracks that's kind of a bit more. It's like what else are you gonna race at that track but a Legends car, in my opinion, at least like cars, right? Did another one of these. I got put middle of 3 at some point on the first lap. Just got pinched, so I fell back a bit. Probably would have been able to hold on to maybe race winning speed looking at the front of this field, but you know, River and Bradley Erickson, these guys are all pretty fast, so you never know with those. It's very dicey just given that you're still getting a good bit of draft down the straights, even though straights aren't that long. And then the corners are really tight, so you have to kind of time your move to get alongside somebody and then eke them out on corner exit. Ran another one, started second, won this one. A lot happened in this race from what I remember. I want to say, yeah, I got shuffled back at some point and then eventually made a move on Wyatt Tinsley for the lead. Yes, that Wyatt Tinsley. He's got the purple license, but I want to say he was Coke Series at some point. Might still be. Is Max R. Brady? Okay, no. But yeah, this was a fun one. So I beat a Coke driver on speed. I just outclassed him, and then he kind of struggled once I got by him and fell back a bit. But this was a good one. Another win in the Legends car at Scuba 1000. Then we move on to USF. That did not go official. This one did though, and I won it. This was a fun one. Gerard was somebody from the IndyCar community Discord. This was like one of his first USF races, so he put on a solid showing in that. Another pretty typical for me, lights to flag from the pole. This layout I think is probably the best layout for these cars in my opinion. It's possible that it's been a while since I've run the full course in this car or either the Road to Indy car, so it's possible I have a different opinion on it now, but I tend to find that the full course just doesn't have enough going on lap over lap, or like just lapping the North course in either car was really fun. So like being able to race it at a decent speed was also pretty good too, even if I wasn't the fastest guy there this week or that week or whatever we're kind of going through there. So that's, I think we're still in weeks. Yeah, we're still in week 7 here. This is all week 7 at this point, because once we got past the street stock stuff, that was the last week 6. So then I ran. This went unofficial, right? Yeah, okay, that was. Okay, so I ran IndyCar at Chicagoland. This one was frustrating. Me and Nigel Honiger were basically side by side this whole race. Eventually, what ended up happening is I faded up about a quarter lane on the bottom, made it to just to the inside of like there's a seam on the bottom lane at Chicagoland on the outside of it. Made it just up to that, and he faded down about a quarter lane and hit me. Gave me side pod damage, caused my car to not be able to carry as much speed anymore. Yeah, these 1.5 miles with the new, at least on the fixed set, for a number of these places, it's just a pack race, and you have to hold the bottom and white line it and hope you can hold on to it. And my tires started fading with about 10 to go because I was just super hard committed to the bottom, trying to stay in the lead, and then just couldn't do anything with it. Once I took that damage, I was fortunate to not fall through the field any further than I did, as you can kind of see here. But yeah, that was a frustrating one to swallow there. I'm not a particularly big fan of the big tracks in any big ovals in any car, and Chicagoland wasn't necessarily doing me any favors. Unofficial one, Global Challenge in Montreal. This is my first win in the Cadillac CTS-V. I hadn't driven this car in a number of years, I want to say, like since 2019 or something. So I decided, I'll try to give it a go at Montreal. There's a field coming up for it. We'll do that. I had a great battle with Benoit, I believe is how you say that. He led the opening portion of this race, and I managed to get by him. This is a tricky track with a tricky car. Like the combo between them, you'd put like 45 degrees of steering angle coming off the chicanes, and like put too much throttle in it, and it'd want to just death snap and kill you. So I managed to figure it out, keep the wheels underneath me, pointed the right direction the whole way through, and won out by a little under a second. So that's my first Cadillac win. I might race this car more, or I might use this series because I felt like this was a good car to get comfortable in terms of learning some sports car stuff. I haven't driven an obscene amount of the sports cars on the service, especially some of the more older historic ones, which we'll kind of talk about when I get to what else we've got going on in terms of where I'm heading here. So this was Indy Pro Strength of Field, qualified fourth. Anna Klemek unfortunately went off the track early in this one. Suffered, I don't know if she spun it or if she just went off the track and had to rejoin, but that was kind of the main deal there. Augie Scrippa was kind of catching me the whole back half of this race. I was fortunate to stay up ahead of him. Yeah, my 4X is from the incident with Anna, I believe, on lap 1, turn 1. Just, she went wide. I had nowhere really to go, but I managed to keep it on the asphalt still, so I was able to kind of hold my ground. I had to make it past Brian Labarge at one point because he had made it by me through that whole exchange, and then I made it past him. Worked my way back into third and hung out because, as you could see, Jarrett and good old Alexander Wesley Hazelworth were in another zip code in terms of their pace. I think a lap car interrupted their battle at some point, but Hazelworth was right there with them the whole way through there. So that was Indy Pro that week at the VIR North Course, and that was likely the last official race I ran that week. Yes, we are now at week 8, Portland. I got ran over under pacing in this one. So I qualified third, and then I want to say it was Paul Arena did that classic like rev and then try to slow down coming onto the backstretch on the pace lap and gave me wheel damage, but I didn't know it was a meatball until after the race started. So I went around, pitted, opted to just not come back out because there's no fast repairs or anything, and it was like 6 minutes of required or something. So it's unfortunate. I felt like I was able to keep pace with like Kolsar and these guys with a damaged car, so it didn't seem like it was actually that damaged, but who knows? It might have just felt decent the one lap I drove it, and it would have been worse. But so that was a big hit. That was really unfortunate. Kind of was a sign of things to come to some extent. I ended up running the USF race that followed this at 11 p.m. Had some friends of mine and teammates. Actually, that's the Colby Jackson. We'll get back to him later. Kyle A. Noel, I believe, is a big guy on the forums with the, the build threads. He does like the build thread forum threads, I believe. That's him. But yeah, this was, again, pretty textbook. Lights flag from the pole. Ethan M. Brown, I believe, suffered a connection issue. He would have been my closest competition in this race based off of lap time and stuff. So I think because I made a pass on him coming into turn 1, lap 1 on the outside. So like left side of the track turns into the inside at the chicane, and I kind of held onto it and rolled away a little bit. And then I think he suffered a connection issue that ultimately cost him his lap and dropped him down the order. So there's that. Ended up running Legends Road Cup at Homestead, the Roval. I was really sloppy in this race. As you can see, I started second. I didn't really practice a ton for this because I thought I knew this track fairly well, but those additional corners in the inside of what would be the oval 3 and 4, rather than using the oval, is a big shift, believe it or not, in terms of just how you have to approach the track. So I wasn't quite on my game here, and I struggled in the race as a result because Drew McWilliams was keeping with me pretty good, but I think he spun it at some point to fall back a bit, and I was able to just stay out of draft range and hang on to it pretty comfortably at that point. But it's a good road course, if nothing else. This IndyCar race, I spun myself off the front of Elliott Cox, another real-world Road to Indy driver. Fell down to about fourth or fifth, I believe. Worked my way back to third, but yeah, this was one I probably could have hung in and at least finished second, or if not one, had I been able to hold on to it. But alas, I basically turned myself off the front of his car going into turn one. Fortunately, I didn't have any damage. It could continue and didn't result in a bigger loss than I had. So there's that. And then if we move on to the next page of stuff, 305 sprint car at Cedar Lake. Yeah, this one, slick track. I struggle on the slick tracks. I qualified second and fell backwards just because I struggle on the slick tracks. Who knows what could have been if I actually knew what I was doing here. But alas, I have a huge I rating because I ran a ton of outlaw micros at Millbridge and other tracks where I could be decent and finish high up in strength of fields. You know, I nearly won a 4K dirt oval strength of field race at one point. So there's that. I ran 358s at USA, tried to get a 358 win. I beat all the cars I thought I could reasonably beat here, and then there's just, you know, the 6.7K guy coming and smoking us. Not much I could have done there. BMW M Power at Thruxton didn't go official, but Indy Pro at Portland did, and I won this one. Shout out Brian Labarge for coming and saving me and giving me a race here. Lights flag from the pole, 20 laps. Brian, I think, spun it at some point, so he fell back even further than he might have otherwise, but we appreciate him for that. Ethan M. Brown's back. You know, it's good to see some familiar names in this car week to week or race to race, so... Colby Jackson makes another appearance. This is now we're still in week 8 after all this time. Dirt Legends. This was my first ever start at Huset's. Colby Jackson got loose off a turn 4 at some point and spun me. He let me come back into it. He didn't just cruise off without me because we were basically a 2-car battle for this race. We lapped the whole field pretty much except for one other car. But yeah, this was fun. This was a good combo. I'm glad I took the time to set my car up and figure this place out because it was a lot of fun racing with Colby here, and I secured a win 1-for-1 at Huset's. Let's see what else we got here. This was a mistake. I got junked by believe the 5 car coming into turn 3. I have no idea what I'm doing in any of these other dirt cars. I just am trying to figure them out. Because I'm out of tracks I can win at in the micro sprint, so I have to figure some other cars out, and I'm just trying stuff and seeing what sticks right now. It's likely that once I win in a specific car, I'm going to figure out what ones I do decent in. It seems like the 305 sprint car is probably my strongest outside of the micro sprints, so we'll probably stick to that, but we'll just have to see. I got Trent conned. I got conned here. Chili Bowl, Outlaw Micro Showdown. Miles faster than me. I need to probably work on a setup for these cars if I'm going to get back into them, but I was basically running this to try to gain IR, which I fortunately did by staying on the lead lap after bringing out a yellow myself. But yeah, that was the whole thing. 305s at Cedar Lake. I'm going to name and shame here. Actually, no, I'm not. This isn't the race I thought it was. Qualified 4th, finished 3rd, stayed on the lead lap. It's probably another slick track race. I don't know what I'm doing on slick tracks, so that was that. Then another dirt midget race that didn't go official. Dirt midget race that did go official, and I struggled. I've got nothing. These, again, I'm still trying to figure out any of these, but, you know, this guy basically ran me over on a restart at some point to pass me. Shout out to him. But, you know, that's just short track racing, as they say. I'm not gonna rub them too hard, but I'll at least point it out. Gavin Silo, Surratt, the fastest Fortnite kids on the planet, seemingly. So give them their due. Did another dirt midget race. Finished 3rd. I do not have no pace, no case. Still trying to figure it out. It's kind of just where we are. This is the name and shame race. So I qualify on the pole here, and you'll see I led all but 2 laps. And Dominic J. Schmidt, you were getting the name and shame. I don't remember what lap it was. He tried to pull a slide job on me going off of turn 2. I lifted to half throttle. Like, I am half throttle, letting him try to make this pass. I am half throttle on the exit of the corner, which if you've driven the 305 basically anywhere is like not something you would normally do ever. You're basically trying to get in the gas all the way on the exit, if not already be there. So I lifted, and he bounces off my front end and smacks himself into the wall. Which, fine, whatever. I'm still in the lead, hanging out. What happens, though, is when I come back around, he takes a swipe right to try to put me in the fence that I have to, kind of get out of the way for so he doesn't hit me. So that checked me up a little bit. And then when we come around again, because he's just driving around with a damaged car being, refusing to give up at this point. We come around again. He spins off of turn 2, collects a bunch of cars and parks it in the middle of the track. So we're all supposed to scurry around him. And then these 2 guys, the 4 and the 5, catch me and pass me with like 2 laps left. And there's nothing I can do at this point because my momentum's completely killed. So this was an unfortunate one. I thought I had a good shot at getting a win out of this race at Cedar Lake, but alas, we'll have to wait until another time to get a win at Cedar Lake, which is the only dirt oval from my home state in the sim. As we move. FIA F4, we are now in week 9. We have made it out of week 8 after all that. So we end off week 8 dirt oval at 40-42, which is like a big number down. F4 at Sachsenring. This was the first time I'd ever driven the F4 car. Isaiah basically tried to, he brake checked me into the first corner, and I had wing damage, so I wasn't able to keep pace with anybody. I was fortunate to finish 3rd here. Such is life. We move on. Another F4 race. Same deal, except this time I was prepared for a brake check, but this time he opted to basically shove me off the track at T1. So I fell back, and there was 2 cars that crashed in front of me at some point. I want to say it was Campbellford and Foster got into each other, crashed in front of me. I made it through that, went back up to 2nd, finished 2nd this one. Sachsenring again. I smoked these kids. There was a lap car at the end of the race that I thought for sure was going to kill me, but fortunately I could just sit and putt around him, behind him for a while because of how big my gap was. I don't want to touch the F4 ever again. This car's terrible. This series is terrible. It is basically everything wrong with Formula Car racing on iRacing, and I do not necessarily appreciate that it is essentially de facto for Formula Cars. If you listen to people talk about weekly races or whatever, it's only this car. This may be the SFL, and if you're lucky, they mention F3. But there's so much more to the open wheel side of iRacing that just wouldn't even get a mention. You've got like the Skip Barber. Obviously, you've got the Road to Indy stuff that I'm super big on. You've got the historic F1 stuff. You have the F1 car, for crying out loud. That doesn't get a mention, but I know participation is a bit of a struggle for that one. But even still, you have IndyCar. You have Super Formula. Like, there's so much else going on there. But no, it's F4 the license, and I don't stand for that. So this will probably be my one and only F4 win, my one and only, unless somehow there's like no other option for me would win at a track than to run F4, which was kind of what I thought was going to be the case with Sachsenring, because when F4 is struggling to get fields at even random times during the day, that's pretty bad. All right, week 9, Phillip Island, that didn't go official. Phillip Island this week was a struggle to get officials in the IndyCar. This was an unofficial race. IndyCar at Phillip Island. This one did go official. I was having a good race with Nigel again. I couldn't find a spot to make a move comfortably. I felt like I was faster than him. I just couldn't find the spot to overtake. I felt like if I had gotten around him really early in the race, I might have been able to hang on to Will Lyon and Will Weiser. Again, just stay in their toe. I don't think I could have actually done anything with them, but it would have been nice. But alas, that's the first start there. We move on to the Legends Road Cup at Alton Park International, the full typical course. Sean Conklin was just absolutely rapid. I only led the first lap because he went off the track at some point, heading towards the like hairpin at the back of the half of the track. But this was that, so finished second to him. I already have a win at Alton from forever ago. I have a number of them at Alton, so. But that was that race. We did dirt. No, we didn't. We did IndyCar at Phillip. I made the unfortunate mistake of trying to pass on the outside into turn one. And this guy basically snap oversteered and killed me. Instantaneous snap death, just flat out killed me. So that killed that one. This was probably going to be a race I would have won, but again, another just rough, big chunk on the I rating, big chunk on the safety rating because I just got absolutely junked. That's how it goes. Ran a USF 2000 at Knock Hill. Me and Christian Flagg had the battle of the century in this one. It's a great race. Obviously, he started on the pole, and me and him just duked it out lap after lap all over the place. I got to his outside on the last lap in the last corner, but he just outdrug me to the line. Good stuff from him. It was fun being able to finally race him as he's currently the points leader for this series. So it's cool to be able to race him for the first time that I can remember anyway. So that was fun. And then we move into just random garbage. Weed Sport Dirt Late Model Pro. This is another one, like, again, slick track. I don't know what I'm doing, especially with more horsepower. I just struggle. I was fortunate to finish where I did, and that's just that. Did UMPs at Charlotte. I got junked. The six car like turned right up into me on his outside, and I hooked him, and we got glued together, and he sent me into the fence. And these cars are basically made out of paper mache, so I was done and dusted before I ever really even got going. I thought maybe I could have hung with like the front couple guys in this one because I didn't qualify terribly. Like I wasn't. I mean, maybe I would have been able to at least hang with a couple cars, but just nothing. So there's that. Dirt Street Stock at USA. I did this as like a rebound race. This is my second Dirt Street Stock win. We would have already seen the first one because it was earlier in the season. I scored the pole, won the heat by a country mile. The only reason this margin of victory is even as close as it is because we had a restart with like 2 laps to go. So pretty boring overall. Unofficial Thruxton. I tried getting the Mission R guys a race, but nope. Fortunately, it didn't go official because I had this fantastic IndyCar race at Phillip Island. I made the move for the lead the second time because, as you see, I led 2 laps here, but the second time, last lap going into turn 1 on the outside, the same move that killed me the race prior here. I made it stick. The car on the inside didn't kill me, and I managed to put on the defensive masterclass on the last lap to hold off Miguel to win this race. It's a great battle between myself and him, and Dan Piazza at some point was in there too. He fell back a bit at some point, but we had ourselves a great one here at Phillip Island. So I will gladly take an IndyCar win at Phillip Island. It's my first IndyCar win on a road course. That was one of my goals this season, was to win an IndyCar race on a road course. I did not expect my first IndyCar win on a road course to be in Australia at Phillip Island, no less. So there's that. Another USF 2000 race, Akash Rajesh, the Giga Chad that he is. This would have been my biggest strength of field win had I been able to make the pass on the last lap, but alas, just not enough. I didn't have enough power off the last corner. If the start-finish line was at the end of the straightaway rather than towards the start of the pit wall, I might have been able to out-drag him, but no dice. But we'll take a P2, especially beating out Brian Molitor, who's like ubiquitous with this car as being absolutely rapid. So being able to outclass him and stay with the cash doesn't get much better than that. And then we finish off with the Indy Pro Strength of Field race where we got bowlinged. He parked it in front of myself, LaBarge, and Connor. just took us all out. Basically, I would have probably finished where Rod was here. Akash got held up by him. That's the only reason Alex won. This race was a mess. I mean, to be fair, it's Knock Hill, but like, it's a struggle. But yeah, so that's all the races I did this last couple weeks. Been relatively painful in terms of trying to get solid racing in. As you see, it was a lot of IR loss, especially on the dirt oval side. But again, I'm trying to figure that out. I know I'm going to have to kind of bite the bullet and suck for a while before I really figure any of that stuff out. I've never been particularly strong on dirt. I've just been able to stay out of trouble a lot and be in big fields, and that's kind of what's bailed me out a lot of the time. So, but let's look at achievement percentage after that. We are at 51% still because I haven't won at another track on top of Phillip Island yet. So, that being said, let's go take a look, and I'm going to do it right this time. And we will look at the spreadsheet. I also should open up my Season 4 spreadsheet to kind of show off some other stuff, but we'll get there. So, I scratched off my goal of IndyCar road course win. We scratched off Phillip Island this week, Sachsenring this week, alongside the F4 car. We scratched off Huset's last week in the Dirt Legend, but I already had Dirt Legends wins prior to that, so that wasn't a 2-for-1. That was just the track. And then the week prior to that was that would have been week 7. Gosh darn it, I don't remember. I want to say week 7 was had to be something, right? Week 7. That was just a bunch of races. Okay, so that wasn't anything new, I don't think. Oh, yeah. Okay, so there was nothing new in week 7 that I... Oh, no, I won in the Cadillac at Montreal. That was new, but I already had a win at Montreal. I needed a win in the Cadillac, so there was that. And then week 6, we picked up the 2 different street stocks at Lime Rock. So a lot more cars, I guess, taken out of that, but that's kind of just the nature of the beast sometimes. With all that said, where are we going? Well, as you'll see here, this spreadsheet probably looks a bit different than the last time you saw it. I've got it narrowed up from weeks 10 to 12. The biggest thing here is that I've got 2 more opportunities in the road to Indy to win at new tracks. These are kind of my full-time gigs this season. Not running the IndyCar for a full season. I think I might remedy that next season and run like fixed sprint for a full season, given the track selection, which we'll get to in this, because there's lots of schedules to look at. But in terms of next week, I want to get a win at Milwaukee. I have like 36 starts in Milwaukee and like 4 second place finishes across ARCA and Super Late Model. I need a win at Milwaukee. It's going to be one that, like, my reaction at Phillip this week was just absolute elation. I don't know what I'm going to do when I win at Milwaukee. It's going to be fun. Hopefully this week I can pick up something USF, Indy Pro, IndyCar or something. Don't think I'm going to do it in a NAS truck because the NAS truck guys are NAS truck guys, and I don't drive in stock cars. I'm an open wheel guy. PCC at Auto Club. That's like the next focus aside from that. And then Skippy at Belle Isle if I can swing it. Clio at Rudskogen is kind of at the bottom because we're going to run that in Legends Road Cup next season. And I could stand to probably win it next season if I so choose. Obviously, week 11, IndyCar at Nashville. The Nashville Super Speedway is not really a track I saw for next season yet. So I thought maybe I could try to squeeze that in. Otherwise, it'll be like IMSA at Hockenheim or something at Daytona. And then obviously week 12, we're focusing on the Chicago Street Course and the Road to Indy, which probably be a battle, much like it was with this week at Knock Hill, just getting a field. I've been in both official USF races at Knock Hill this week, so I can say that I made it to all the races that have happened so far this week. We'll see if maybe somebody squeezes in one this weekend when I'm not available, but I gotta stick by my series. I'm gonna race it when it goes official. I was fortunate to catch the first one with Christian because of the unfortunate nature of my race at Phillip Island that happened earlier that day, and then obviously the one today I signed up for because they were trying to get one last car. They were trying to get a sixth car, and then it ended up being 7 when Pierre Dorn signed up last second. So there's that. But yeah, obviously a lot of dirt stuff I still could clear out. Bunch of oval stuff. Yeah, you got like Silver Crown sprint cars at Milwaukee. You've got, some other stuff. IndyCar will be at Kentucky, the Oval Series. We'll see. Just there's a lot of stuff I could do, but I want to try to keep it focused because I've calculated it out, and I want to try to finish this by the end of 2026 season 4. So that means from here forward, at least as of right now, I need to win at like 14 tracks, new tracks a season, which will obviously get harder the later and deeper into the challenge I get because of just track frequency, as we kind of see with like even just these numbers here. So there's that. If we look ahead to next, actually, let's just kind of go over some wins. So my Portland win in USF last week was my 50th career win in the USF. So that was kind of a cool milestone to hit. Obviously, I've been basically driving the USF for, let's see, I started in 2022 season 1, and we're going into 2026 season 1 before too long here. So it'll be about 4 years of USF for me. So to hit 50 wins, even in like less time than that, it's pretty cool. Even if, a number of these are, you could see just from like the new I rating, like some of these earlier ones were like, okay, 1500 IR, and then we're like up to 3,000, 4,000. I guess this one's on an oval, but then it's like 3,000, 4,000. We're winning races at a really high level in terms of where I'm at skill wise or whatever. Legends Road Cup, we've picked up a number this season. So like this season in USF, we've got 7. Legends Road Cup, we have 9. So that's slightly more in that side of things. All right. Oh, sorry. This is the Legend period. I forget. Legends Road Cup, we've only scored 7. I've scored 2 on the oval in the rookie series, I believe. Regardless, there's that. We picked up 2 wins of the Beetle so far this season. Atlanta and Hell. One-off starts in Rallycross Fixed each. Won both. So I'm 2 for 2 in Rallycross Fixed this season. I don't plan on running another Rallycross race this season. Might do that next season, but if anything, that'd be Catalunya would be the only track I'd want to do that with, I think. But we'll get back to that. Pro 4, Bark River, that's 1. Laguna Seca, that's another one. Did that in the Skippy. Williams Grove in the 305, we would have seen that. Thompson in the super late model. 5 Indy Pro wins, Road America, Scuba, Laguna, VIR in Portland. Clio, Oran Park, and Monza. Dirt Legend at Huset. I marked this as this is the most recent win, but we've got some more to kind of talk about after that. We've got Wild West and Bark River in the Pro 2 Light. Those are new this season. Road Atlanta and VIR. This is a new car class for me with the HPD. We've got USA in the Mini Stock. The Mini Stock was just new. USA, I've had wins on multiple configs of it. Dirt and asphalt. Winton in the V, that was new for both of those. Langley in the Mini Stock, that was new for both of those. Kia, Nordschleife, both of those were new. Kokomo in the Dirt Street Stock, that was new for both of those, but obviously I've added the USA win there as well, so that's 2 wins of the Dirt Street Stock. Suzuka in the GR86 was new. Lime Rock Park win for each of the Street Stock packages, so that's complete, up to 12 wins at Lime Rock Park. CTS-V at Montreal, that was new for the car but not the track, because the track I had won in USF prior, which is somewhere up here. Yeah, right there. Would have been the last one before. This would have been 2024 season 2, I believe. Oh, 2025 season 1. beat out Martin Boyles to the line. Um, that was a fun one. I think Larry suffered a problem or something. Or no, Leopold had an issue at some point. I don't know if he crashed or what, but regardless. But yeah. So, and then on top of that, we have the F4 at Sachsenring, which is a new car and a new track. So there's that one. And then IndyCar at Phillip Island. But I have a number of IndyCar wins already, but that'd be the first IndyCar win this season. So if we tally all these up from just this season, I want to say it's around 50. I'd have to double check. It's 45. Okay, it's 45 wins this season. I want to say it's like 20 some odd unique tracks or something. I don't know. Not going to get super into that right now. But yeah, this is kind of a big, a strong point for me in terms of, like, I guess, what were the new ones, right? So we've got VIR, we've got Portland, that's 2, Oxford Plains, Monza, Concord, that's 5. Atlanta is 6, Hell is 7, Bark River is 8. Laguna, I forgot, is 9. Williams Grove is 10. Thompson's 11. Oran Park is 12. Wild West is 13. Road Atlanta is 14. Winton is 15. Nordschleife is 16. Kokomo 17. Suzuka 18. Langley 19. And then Sachsenring would be 20 and Phillip Island would be 21. So this season I've done 21 distinct tracks. I want to say what the heck is it called? Let's see here. Where is that goofy? There it is. Challenge.Duncan Watts. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm currently leading the season challenge. With my win today at Phillip Island, I surpassed Timothy, who seems to be a dirt oval guy. So, big ups for that. I'm currently leading this. Not doing super hot all time, I don't think. Like, where am I at on the all time? Yeah, 222nd, which isn't super terrible, but also not super crazy at the same time. I've still got probably a bunch of gimme ones, like maybe like rookie Beetle and rookie street stocks, and never catch me in rookie street stocks. But so this is cool. This has been fun. I got told about this earlier on in the season, but this is cool to have as like a sign of what I've done this season. I'll probably end up doing like a rip of this come the season's end, depending on how we do. But this has been fun. Shows that I've got a decent bit of versatility and I'm able to do quite a bit in terms of that. 11th all on road, 27th dirt road, 28th in Formula Car. So we're doing a lot with a little. And then I also, during whatever week it was that I won at Huset's 8, I think it's week 8, yeah. I ended up buying the remaining tracks and cars to make it to the 100% club. I haven't gotten my achievement in the iRacing UI yet. I wonder if it's just bugged, but I have all the cars and tracks now, including all the legacy ones, Tech Track, New Jersey Motorsport Park, whatever. So I have everything now, and my intention with that is just get it out of the way. I'm on here enough. I'm on here every day, basically, that I can be, and I'm going to, go after it and get going. So I started kind of looking at season 4, seeing what's going on, production car at Kansas I've got circled because I think that's going to be probably the easiest way for me to win at Kansas is to win it in like Clio or M2 or something. But yeah, I'm trying to get an idea of what I want to do next season. I'm thinking I might try to do IndyCar fixed sprint maybe as like a participation series. Try to ease my participation burden. I just kind of want to see what iRacing's doing next season. We don't know yet, like what their new formula car they've teased is. That's I believe supposed to make it next season. Obviously, you've got tracks like the Miami Street Course that's supposed to be making it. So there's just gonna be kind of some stuff that I'm gonna have to account for, see what's going on. Obviously, we don't know like what the F4 Ferrari Challenge or BMW M Power schedules will be yet because those are all in iRacing's control. But regardless, kind of what I'm looking at next season in terms of tracks that I want to just kind of clear out, get out the way, is mainly stuff that I'm going to be racing in Road to Indy or Legends Road Cup. That's kind of my biggest comfort zones in terms of cars and tracks. So Bathurst, Coda, Red Bull Ring, Sonoma, Daytona, Zandvoort, Five Flags, and Rudskogen. And these two, Rudskogen and Daytona, are only in here if I don't manage to win in them this season because I have opportunities to do so. But we'll just have to see how that works out. Yeah, kind of looking to explore maybe. Obviously, I've got the IndyCar stuff back up here because I miss it. I miss being able to run with my teammates on Tuesday nights and kind of be a part of that crew. And now that the ISRA League is done at the conclusion of week 8 of this season, so that's done and dusted. I finished 3rd in the championship. We were in the money, me and my teammate Kyle Clenworth, who ended up winning the championship by, I believe, 1 point. After the season finale at Pocono, he managed to make the pass on Tristan Fortson, I believe, to win because he was competing with Matt Wagner. He was the one that finished in between us, so that was a lot of fun. That league's on hiatus now. I don't know what they're going to do for their next season. It didn't sound like they were going to do the IndyCar again, so that kind of lowers my interest, but we'll just have to see. I'm not necessarily looking to fill Monday nights, I don't think, especially given that I'm already broadcasting the IndyCar Open Series top splits, so that league and Open were sucking up my time Monday nights. Not that I don't love being in the booth with Mark Murphy, but having a league on top of that I had to run basically right after the Open broadcasts ended, especially on the ovals, was a lot. I definitely was not performing at my best the latter half of the season as a result, I think. I mean, in my opinion, the results sheet would probably show that for the most part. Just unfortunate circumstances going on in the race on top of just not being particularly locked in on the IndyCar and ovals right now. But yeah, I think that we've got a lot to look forward to with next season. Obviously the new content's going to be cool, seeing what iRacing's got going on. Obviously we're expecting maybe new UI. There's a bunch of stuff going on, so I'm looking forward to it. Obviously to close out the season, we've got a handful of tracks. I think there's maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more I could potentially do. I don't think I'm going to get all 8. It's unlikely. I'd be happy if I can get like the majority of the ones from week 10 and then Chicago, because I think that's going to be all I can really hope for. Yeah, just keep it on. We're going to see what we can do these last couple weeks. Maybe I make a run out to something else at some point, but appreciate you watching. I know this has kind of been a longer one than the last couple have been, but I wanted to cover a bit more ground with this. Just given all the other things that have been kind of going on behind the scenes for me. I know I said I was going to do a video for going over some replays. I have like a rough script for 2 ARCA races at Milwaukee from like years and years ago that I wanted to go through, but I think I'm going to hold off on those. Another thing I have in mind is at the end of this season, because I've reached the halfway point of a little over halfway, I'm at 51%, but of winning at every track, I wanted to do like, based on the track configs I've won at, like tier listing those. So like if I've only won at a dirt road track, it's only going to get paired to other dirt road tracks. But yeah, have to go through those, I'm going to kind of compile a list, talk about like I'm probably going to do a chart of like the highest strength of fields, how many starts it took me to win, try to keep better track of kind of the track to track metrics, if you will, because obviously with like I don't know. Let's see. What am I at career wins wise now? Have to add like 2 to this, I think. 178 sounds right. Um, you know, it won't be too long before I hit 200, and most of those would have been within the last year. But, anyways, going too long again. That's what I do here. Appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great day, evening, night, time, whatever you're doing. And I will catch you in the next one, which will probably be during week 12, and we'll cover the end of the season. Hopefully have some other things to talk about with iRacing in terms of new content and stuff. See what they got going on. Maybe week 13. Maybe week 13's got something crazy going on. But, yeah. Have a good one.